Hello, my name is Kyle Suggs and welcome to my channel. This is Informal. Today we're going to talk about Mueller, SJWs, Star Wars, a Converse commercial, which is kind of weird, and the box office report. So if you like what you see on this channel and you're interested in content based on TV, movie, and culture filtered right, please consider liking and subscribing and sharing this with your friends. Okay, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about that, but I want to slow it down a little bit and talk about your weekend. How was your weekend? Was it good? I think my weekend was pretty awesome. The weather was not too bad, and I was able to get a lot of stuff done with this channel. Looking forward to really pushing not the envelope per se, but just the amount of content and the quality of the content forward, because I want to make sure that the videos that I present to you are informative and entertaining. And that's really my mandate here, is that foremost, because without that, you're not going to be able to have a platform to give a decent message. And just as importantly, I want to give you the content, like I said before, of the things we see that have been spilling over into our culture, from politics into our sports, into our movies, into our television, into our culture, and into our water coolers at work. It's making it very difficult for a lot of people to even say anything. A lot of times we feel trapped. And I'm old enough to understand these things and see the transition, but I'm also young enough to know that this is something that is at the point of where we can actually fix things. I believe. I really do think that, and I think we're really looking at here is we're looking at people who are simply upset over an election, and I hate to put it that way, but it just seems that way. That in 2016, a lot of people were upset, and things got heated, and so forth. And so, I think this Mueller investigation took 2 years to complete, and it's over. So, for whatever it's worth, it's over. And my hope is that we can have civil heads prevail, that things can calm down. But I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. I'm an optimist at nature. But I don't believe that's going to happen. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about this. And one of the reasons why I brought up the Mueller report is because it does spill over. And I'm hoping that because there's nothing more to talk about this, there's no further indictments, there's no even unsealed documents, there's nothing moving forward. It's over. It's done. It's finished. Only thing that could happen at this point is if the House decides to take it further. But if they were to do that, they don't have the resources that Mueller had. Mueller had the ability to call grand juries, indictments. He was able to tap phones. He had all kinds of measures at his disposal. Thousands of people were brought forth, and so it's over for all practical purposes. And why is this important? Because the identity politics, SJW side, is what's been crushing and hurting media today. They're creating narratives in TV shows like Star Trek Discovery, like Ghostbusters, like Captain Marvel, and I'm picking the ones that at a high level. There are several others that are going on everything, like Cloak and Dagger. That's a superhero program as well. And it's just all over. Supergirl is a big one. That's really big in that. Made it very difficult for me to watch that because it was just so over the top. I loved the show the first season. It just went crazy off the rails in the second season. It's still entertaining, and you kind of got to let things go, but come on. It was just whatever, dude. So that's the Mueller thing. I'm not going to talk much more about that because, again, this is not a political channel, but it does reflect what's going on with our culture, and that's part of what the mandate is about, is because our culture is going to leak into everything, and including our entertainment and sports. So if we don't combat that at all levels, and if we're naive to say that politics shouldn't come into play, well, then it should to a certain point. And that's why I'm bringing this up. So the second thing let's talk about is the box office. The box office is Sunday right now. It's about 10:19 on Sunday night. And let's see what we look like here. So going down, let's go from the top. Okay, so we have Us, which is a movie that I have seen, and I'll talk about that in a second here. That brought in an astonishing $70 million with 3,741 theaters. Captain Marvel coming in strong at number 2 at $35 million. with about 1,000 more screens. Not quite 1,000, it's 800. And it's about to be $1 billion film. Right now it's standing at about $910 million. And in a few weeks it will have that. Okay? And which just proves that bad movies or mediocre movies can become $1 billion movies. And I'll have to make a video on this later, but in a nutshell, because people were commenting on a post that I did about Captain Marvel, and they were saying, well, this didn't age well because it's going to make $800 million in its second week. Yeah, I mean, first of all, it was a Marvel movie. Number two, it was in between the two of the biggest movies in the history of mankind. Infinity War and Endgame. And Endgame ended in a huge, monumental cliffhanger, right? And so we're going to have that they introduced Captain Marvel at the end of that movie in the end credit. So a good lead-in. And so you're going to have that. And they were smart about it. They released this film in like every single theater that could possibly have it all over the world. And even with the China piece of it not being as strong, it still cared enough to be fine. And at the end of the day, I'm not the only person to say this. At the end of the day, Captain Marvel proved that the comic book fans who've been carrying the Marvel MCU, right now, they're less significant than the popcorn fan or the overall general fan base. So Marvel's well on the way, but Star Wars is a different matter altogether, and we'll see about that. Number 3, Wonder Park. Number 3, Wonder Park. Number 4, 5 Feet Apart. Number 4, let's talk about, I'm looking at the last week number, so that's why I'm going crazy. So number 5, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. Now I have a review on that one. I'll put a link above on that. And so that one's doing pretty well. That's close to about 400 million now, I believe. I'm not sure where that one's at, but I don't know where that's at. We'll hold off on that. But that's doing really well, and I think that's already turned a profit. And Tyler Perry's A Medea Family Funeral at $4.5 million. Gloria Bell at 1.8. No Manches Frida Part 2 at 1.78. And the Lego Part 2 movie at 1.125. And which I have not seen yet. I want to see that and do a review on that. But it's hanging around pretty well. It's been in its 7th week and it's still in the top 8. That's pretty good. So, and Alita Battle Angel, which is what I really want to talk about. So Alita Battle Angel right now is at about $1 million for the weekend, at 6th week at the box office, and right now it sits at about $400 million. It needs to make about another $30 million to break even, and it's not going to make that at the box office. It just isn't. It's tapped out. The critics gave it a hard time. The fans tried to bring it up, but it just isn't going to do it. However, the DVD Blu-ray market may, based on past indications, be successful. If it gets half of what the Last Jedi got, it will make that there, and that would be an achievement because I would want to see this as a sequel, and that would be a wonderful thing because I think the movie was really awesome. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I have a link to that above as well for my review for that one. And yeah, so Alita Battle Angel would be awesome to see again, and I think if it just can hang on a little bit more, I think it will make that number, and hopefully that will trigger a sequel for the producers, James Cameron, those guys. And as a side for the Captain Marvel, I just gotta say this again, that the production budget with that was at least $300 million, may have been more, and some guy was saying that, well, you said that it was going to break even at $750 million. I didn't say that. I was saying it based off of what Geeks and Gamers were saying and Olden Movie Blog was saying, was that it was somewhere in between the $300 million and the $750, somewhere in there that's going to cross the break-even point and move forward. So if you're going to make comments on posts, make sure you understand what was said and what I said, because I take very seriously what I say so that I can be accurate as possible. And if mistakes happen, I will definitely own up to that. But in this case, that's what we said. We never said that it was going to break even at $750 million. That's ridiculous to even think about. All right, so let's move on. So, okay, so yeah, so let's because this is okay. Let me bring this up here. So this is Alita Battle Angel. Alita Battle Angel. So we're looking at her at $316 million foreign, only $83 million domestic, which means Americans haven't gone to go see this. This kind of reminds me of Dread, where it was a fantastic film, but nobody saw it. And, this is another one of those movies. And so, it's really a shame, but it will cross the $400 million mark this week, and it will not make the $430 million enough to break even. But with the foreign with the foreign market being the way it is, and with the DVD sales and Blu-ray sales, it has a decent shot at breaking even. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so check this out. So Converse, the shoe company, put out an ad 2 days ago on YouTube or wherever they want to show it. It was an ad that had this screenshot here. I'm going to show it to you here. I'm not going to play the video, but so it's an animation where you have this Converse, this Chuck Taylor here, and it's a play on the little old woman who lived in a shoe. But this particular woman was a woman who was oppressed by the patriarchy, who was being victimized by life, and just needed to empower herself to get by from these evil, nasty men that are running around and ruling the world. And it's just such a piece of propaganda, I couldn't even stomach it. And, my daughter is right now working hard. She's a teenager. She's working hard now, and she's got many years before she becomes an adult, so she's an early teenager. She's working right now to make millions of dollars on a business that she has working on right now. And she's already have a logistic model in place, and she's even planning out to buy her a car a few years from now. All planned out because I told her that she can do that. This country you live in is a country of opportunity. It's a country that you can do anything that you can put your mind to, right? And I tell her all the time, I say, hey, was this country perfectly founded? Absolutely not. Was this country perfectly put in a place where it can evolve into something that is perfectly done? Absolutely. And that's done through the Constitution. That's done through the principles that we're founded on, was that every person gets the rights from God, and that nobody can take those rights from them, and they're endowed by their Creator with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No other country in the foundation of this world was brought up out of nothing at all to do what this country is now, which is why I can sit here at my desk here and make a video to the entire world and say what I want to say in this country, is because that is the principles that we stood on. Up to that point, every country was conquering, kill. It was Game of Thrones all over again. And it was just by the grace of God, this country was founded and survived and persevered. And that's one of the things I'm instilling in her. And this social justice stuff here, this identity politics, is just a way to manipulate, to control. They're telling women what to do, how to think, and they're flipping it by saying, well, look what they're doing to you. They're telling you what you can't do, what you can. But at the same time, you're manipulating them by blue pilling them with stuff that they can't do based on your rhetoric. So that video is there. It was just an embarrassment for Converse. I'm not going to ever buy a pair of Converse ever again. And I respected the shoe brand for many years. The All-Star, Converse, Chuck Taylors, whatever. Larry Bird back in the day, Magic Johnson. I'm showing my age now. I'll stop that. All right. So let's move on. I think I have one more topic, and let's talk about Star Wars a little bit. Okay, so over at Geeks and Gamers, Jeremy had a little monologue where he basically was saying that The Force Awakens is not a good movie anymore. And that was painful to hear because I saw the movie 9 times in the theater. But the more he started talking about it, the more I started to actually agree with him. And then it reminded me of a time back in 1999 when I stood in line for 8 hours for a little film called The Phantom Menace, and literally watched it 3 times in one day. Midnight, and I watched it again at 2 o'clock, and then right then again at 4 o'clock, no, I'm sorry, 12 o'clock, and then the next day I saw it like, at 5 o'clock, wherever they started again, and then again at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And then went ahead and see that movie about 15 times in the theater. And yeah, but then here's the thing. I went home after seeing that first showing of The Phantom Menace, and I did this. This is the review I created that's out there on the internet if you want to see it. It's on christianspotlight.net. And it's the heading for the review that I did for Star Wars The Phantom Menace. It has me there as a contributor, and I gave it 5 stars out of 5 stars. And I just gushed over this film and even made excuses for it in the end, saying, well, yeah, it may not have a lot of things for it. We were kind of looking for some things here, but it's the bigger part of a 3-film deal, so we kind of got to weigh it on those types of, we have to kind of judge it based on those 3 films. We can't just say, it's not good now. We have to let the other 3 films come out. And if I'm going to judge myself by that same standard, I have to judge myself by Jeremy's standard as well, because he's saying simply the same thing. That The Force Awakens was decimated by The Last Jedi. That everything that J.J. Abrams put in place with the character of Snoke, with Han Solo being killed, that's on him, with the Knights of Ren, with Kylo Ren, who is he and where is he from, right? Luke, finding him and getting him back. Rey, who is she? Who are her parents, and so forth. And so here's the deal. When The Last Jedi came out, all of that was pretty much tossed aside. From the moment Luke threw the lightsaber that was his dad's, that he actually had his hand cut off, that was lost for decades, is suddenly, it's anathema to him. He throws it over his shoulder. Total disrespect for the fans. We should have known it then. We should have walked out at that point right there. But we're not going to do that. So then you have Rey, whose parents are nobodies. They're just basic people who are just drunkards, and they just left her on the planet and took off. And then they kill off Luke. And so there is no more anything. We spent 30 years looking for Han, Leia, and Luke and Chewie to be together. Never saw it and never will see it. Carrie Fisher has passed away. Luke is dead. Han is dead. So now who we have? Lando? So now we have episode 9. It's basically going to be an episode that's going to have to be a standalone film, because The Force Awakens was obliterated by The Last Jedi. And so I agree with Jeremy 100%, even based on my own standards, by my own writing back in 1999, that yes, I agree that The Phantom Menace and The Force Awakens are not great movies. I think in some ways, and I wouldn't go as far to say that The Force Awakens is a worse movie than The Phantom Menace. I won't quite go there. But what he's trying to say is he has never watched The Force Awakens after seeing The Last Jedi. And I have to admit, I haven't either. I hadn't thought about it. But you know what? Why even watch it? Why watch The Force Awakens now? Why? Why watch The Force Awakens now? So with that, the only way they can save it, in my opinion, is centers around Luke himself. And that would be to bring him back outright as he never died. In other words, retcon it altogether. He didn't die, or do something like where he teleports himself to the world of the dead, whatever, and then at the last minute, because there's so much stuff going on, because Rey's in trouble, because Finn's in trouble, because Poe's in trouble, because Chewie's in trouble, because Lando's in trouble, and the whole universe or the whole galaxy is in total disregard and despair. He forces himself back, wills himself back, maybe with the help of his father, maybe with the help of Yoda, Obi-Wan. They force their powers, whatever, to get him back one last time to totally, handle his business. You know what I'm saying? That could be awesome. That could be awesome. That could be sweet. And that, I would almost forgive everything for that if they could pull that off. Or just have it that he didn't die at all, retcon it. Just do something like, Patrick Duffy in Dallas, after that season where he gets killed, and next episode of the first season when they realize they really messed up, they said, "Oh yeah, by the way, I was just that whole great season that was awesome. That was one of the best seasons ever for Dallas. That was just a dream. Let's keep it moving, all right?" Now that would be on the nose, but you know what? I'm thinking a lot of Star Wars fans would forgive that straight up. It's on the nose and would be totally out of context of Star Wars, but they've already kind of they've kind of jumped the shark anyway in that regard, in my opinion, with this whole thing with the social justice warrior and identity politics infused in Star Wars, we never saw before. And so, with that, I just hope that they are smarter. But of course, it's been wrapped, so we don't know what's going on, and we'll find out soon enough. And I'm not even that excited to even watch it in the theater, which is sad to say. It'll be the first time I haven't seen a Star Wars film in the theater ever, including 1977. Okay, so with that, I am done with my little rant here, and I am going to move on to something else. I did, by the way, see the movie Us, and I will put that together, edit it. I've already filmed it. Just kind of, edit it and put it together, because it does have some interesting talking points in that, and it definitely ties into what this channel is all about, and that's taking the messaging that's coming from, the media, from the movie industry, from culture in general, and filtering it through the lens of common sense, logic, and reason, and presenting it to you guys. And so I'm interested to see what you think about that review. And also I got something else that I'm working on, by a suggestion from one of my subscribers here. Wanted me to check out a series on Netflix. I got to the first series. It's pretty compelling. I got a lot to talk about on that one as well. Got Game of Thrones starting up. Got the Stranger Things starting up in July. And so, yeah, a lot of different things going on. Hopefully they won't screw that up. That's going to really make me upset if they screw Stranger Things up as well with this, whatever. We won't talk about that yet. We're gonna chill on that one, okay? So anyway, that's that. So if you enjoy what you see here, and if you want to continue content that is taking culture, TV, and movies filtered to the right, please consider liking and subscribing. And if not, check out the cool content that I have right over here.